Back to the subject of reaction. Faith, the real, operative kind, is never measured by the vocabulary on our lips. Faith is shown by your reaction. When the wave calls itself my anxiety, do you see? That is the test and not the truth of you. Be not afraid. It is I, the Master said. The appearance comes to knock, to rattle, to hurry, and it waits for your consent. The moment you treat the knock as your identity, you have signed for the package. The moment you refuse to sign, it is returned to sender. Be still and know that I am God. Not be frantic in figure. Be still and know you have been trained from childhood to call it yours, my nerves, my history, my chemistry. And so the chain tightens. All right, today we loosen it. It is not yours. It is a universal suggestion, an impersonal hypnotism parading as you, whispering in your voice, bringing its borrowed storm to your doorway and seeking personal belief for fuel. This has nothing to do with this person, this hour, this room. It is the same old serpent that spoke in a garden of appearances, saying, you are a self apart. The instant you name it correctly, suggestion, not self, you have withdrawn the only power it ever held, your belief. Now do not enter the case humanly. Never advise yourself as if you were a patient. Drink water, count breaths, text 3 friends. That is to start rearranging shadows. Don't react to the appearances. Don't try to change them. Don't turn to God to fix them. God is not a power set against another power. God isn't mind. God isn't even soul. Nobody knows what God is. But God is, and in the silence where thought yields, God is experienced. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit to his stature? None of us. So be willing to be still. We shall move by a simple ladder, and if you will give yourself to it, you will find you are governed, not governing. First, spot the suggestion. This is not I. This is a universal belief pressing for my consent. Second, refuse reaction. No argument, no chase, no bargaining, just a quiet no. Third, enter silence. Not statements now, not even holy ones. Let the click come of itself. In that pause, Christ takes the reins. I knew a young woman on a city bus, palms wet, heart hammering. She remembered, spot, refuse, enter. She spotted, this is suggestion. She refused. No texting, no exit. At the next stop, no breathing contest. Then she entered. A split second of interior stillness, a turning to the eye that says, it is I, be not afraid. The bus kept roaring, the streets kept their noise, and yet the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, stood guard. The appearance had not been managed. The authority behind her next moment had changed. So, in this hour, retire the phrase, my anxiety. Call it what it is, an appearance. Stand still. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. We will walk this middle path together, spot, refuse, enter until non-reaction is native, and spirit, not appearances, governs our moments. Now, let us name what we are dealing with, so that you are not shadow boxing with your own reflection. Universal hypnotism. Do you see? Not your mind misbehaving, not your chemistry plotting, but mass belief, fear, contagion, scarcity moving through the collective like weather. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, the apostle said. And there you have it. Not against your flesh and not against your brothers, but against suggestions, rulers of darkness, ideas without God, and they parade as news, as custom, as family wisdom, as science that has lost its soul. These are winds, and if you will recognize the wind as wind, you won't accuse your window for rattling. You will simply not open to it. Look at a morning of headlines. The phone lights up, The ticker scrolls. A voice assures you that danger is at the door, and your pulse answers like a trained dog. That is not you. That is a universal draft under the door. Family cultures do the same. Grandmother says, "In this family we worry. It keeps us safe." Aunt adds, "It runs in our blood." And there it is, a liturgy of dread, handed down like silverware. Then the advertisements, "Oh, the sermons of the marketplace teaching you your next disease, asking you to imagine symptoms you never had, promising ease if you will only accept a premise of fear." You see this? These are not personal sins. These are universal beliefs seeking a believer. The remedy is not to slap the screen or to argue with your aunt. Never desire to change appearances. Never take a side in them. If there is a headline war, do not become the army of one side or the other. If there is a family quarrel, refuse personalities. Christ is the only identity. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. There is only one power. Infection and contagion have no law to support them. Scarcity has no statute in God. Fear has no court of appeal. The only authority these things borrow is your consent, your personal belief. The instant you name them what they are, universal hypnotism, you have withdrawn the purse that funded them. Take no thought for the morrow, the master instructed. That is not carelessness. That is sober practice. When the broadcast says, "Tomorrow will be worse," and the old family creed nods in agreement, and the ad adds a flourish of clinical dread, you smile not mockingly, but as one who knows the spell by its true name, and you stand. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, because no weapon forged in nothingness can be sustained by law. The prince of this world comes, and if you will keep to principle over personalities, finds nothing in you. Stand still in that recognition. Do not improve the weather. Do not curse it. Do not chase umbrellas for the neighborhood. Simply decline to be the weather vane. In that sacred restraint, the wind runs out of you, and the governance returns to spirit where it has always been. All right, having named the wind, let us watch how it tries to become a storm. The ladder of suggestion is simple, and it is climbed by consent. First, a sensation, tightness in the chest, a flutter in the stomach, a heat in the face. That is all. A movement in the weather. Next, the mind reaches for a label. Anxiety. At once, memory answers, yes, this is like that time. And it opens the album to every bruise you have ever filed under fear. Then the prophet of tomorrow steps in with his false scriptures. If it is like that, it will be worse. What if, what if, what if? And then panic, not because a law of God has been invoked, but because at each rung a little nod was given, and that nod, your personal assent, was the only rail the thing needed. Do you see that? The critical moment is not at the top when you are trying to breathe through a thunderclap. It is at the first twitch, the first whisper of agreement, where faith is measured not by bravado, not by shouting texts at the sky, but by non-reaction. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Resist is not wrestle. Resist is refuse consent. We do not deny sensations. God forbid that we should make war on our bodies or our nerves. We deny ownership. This has nothing to do with this person. This is a universal belief announcing itself in your doorway and asking for your name on the parcel you do not sign. Watch the rungs, and you will see the mechanics of bondage. Sensation innocent. Label, this is the first inkling of hypnosis. Memory, this is the hypnotist's assistant, pointing to the scrapbook and saying, you are the same character who always fails. Forecast the big lie. Take thought for the morrow, because the morrow will surely devour you. The master said, take no thought for the morrow. That is not poetry. That is a surgical instruction to cut the second and third rungs out of the ladder. Panic the clamor that follows a chain of yeses. Break the yes at the first link, and the rest never forms. Now, never enter the case humanly. Don't begin fixing, improving, arranging, or bargaining. The first move is not to correct the heartbeat or to outshout the thoughts. The first move is to spot the suggestion as suggestion early before the mind narrates itself into captivity. A sensation arises. You say within quietly, "This is not I. This is a universal belief seeking my assent." Period. No argument, no analysis, no hunting for causes in childhood or breakfast. Be still and know that I am God. The stillness is not a technique to alter appearance. It is refusal to let appearance claim identity. I knew a man who crossed a bridge every weekday with dread because years ago he had labeled a flutter as danger. One morning he felt the same flutter. Before the memory could open its album, before the forecast could publish its headlines, he said, "Universal suggestion, not I." Then he stood no heroics, no timing of pulses, simply without consent. He reached the other side and later wrote, "Nothing happened." That, friends, is the miracle nothing happened because nothing was believed. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The prince of this world came to that bridge, and finding nothing in him, no first twitch of agreement passed by. So let us practice the watch at the gate. Sensation may come and go like weather, but you are not the weather vane. Name the suggestion for what it is at the threshold, and the ladder collapses under its own weight. In that sacred restraint, governance quietly returns to spirit, and the day proceeds under a law that never asked for your fear. Now, let us make this practical, because naming the wind is not yet sailing. There are 3 movements, and they are not theory. They are footwork. Spot, refuse, enter. If you will make these a way of being, the governance will pass from appearances back to spirit without shouting, without argument, without you arranging futures. First spot, quietly, without drama, acknowledge universal suggestion of fear is knocking. That is all. No fight, no flirtation, just recognition. Be sober, be vigilant, the scripture says. Not panicked, not fascinated. You are the doorkeeper, and you hear the knock. You do not invite it in for tea. You do not hurl furniture at the door. You simply know who is knocking. This has nothing to do with this person, this pulse, this room. It is the same weather front that visited yesterday and the day before in 10 million homes. Spot it early at the first rustle, and you have already unhooked its main supply, your personal identification. Second, refuse, reaction. Now, here is the middle path, and we must be faithful, neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Do not take sides with the anxiety against yourself, and do not take sides with yourself against the anxiety. Both are the same hypnosis personalities wrestling in a hall of mirrors. Principle over personalities. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Let that be your posture. No quick fixes, no bargains, no inward scolding, no pep talks. All of that is reaction dressed as help. Stand still. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Your refusal is not a muscular pushback. It is sacred non-consent. You withhold the only fuel the appearance had. Third, enter silence. Withdraw from taking thought. There must come a split second, just a hair's breadth, in which you forget even the truths you know. Yes, we love our statements, but for this depth we fast. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. Fast from mental statements, fast from rehearsed verses, fast from self-improvement. Let prayer be the wordless turning, and let fasting be the refusal to decorate the mind. In that instant, I, God, am the solution to all problems. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Do you see? Not a strength you muster, but a governance that appears when you vacate the throne. I watched a businessman in a boardroom. Remember this. The agenda thickened. Voices rose. His heart climbed into his throat. Spot! Universal suggestion is knocking. Refuse. No inner lawyer, no inner child, no inner coach, just the middle path. Enter. A breath that was not a technique. A hush beneath the noise. No lightning. No triumphal music. Yet the next moment organized itself. A needless argument dissolved. An answer he had not been chasing presented, and the hour went on under a different government. That is the way. Freedom is this movement from noticing to non-reacting to silent God contact. Mind yields, spirit governs. Practice it in the small hours and the crowded ones, and watch how the winds tire when there is no vein to spin. Now we must become craftsmen of the instant, because without training, the split second will be occupied by the world before you are awake to it. And so we practice not to change appearances, not to produce outcomes, but to let silence find us first. Watch and pray, the Master said. And I tell you this, watching is not with clenched jaw, but with consecrated ease, a readiness of heart that refuses to be hurried. All right, here is a simple drill, and you will treat it as a Sabbath fragment, not as a gadget. 3 breaths. On the first breath, name the suggestion softly within. Universal belief, knocking. No drama, no story. On the second breath, a gentle refusal, no argument, just sacred non-consent. On the third breath, rest 3 seconds in bare silence, no words, no verses, no decoration. Let those 3 seconds be holy ground. Be still and know that I am God. If you need a small plank to steady the body while the spirit takes the helm, use micro anchors, but use them lightly. Place the hand over the heart, not as if there were magic there, but to remind yourself that you are not arranging the wind. Let the eyes soften to the edges, as if to say, I am not fixating on any one appearance. If a word must be used once, whisper, not I, but Christ, and then drop all words, because nobody by taking thought can contact God. Sometimes, before the silence, one mantric line, used sparingly, will clear the doorway. Right now I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief, then stop, no more. If you continue, you will be decorating thought again. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, fasting from mental embroidery. Build a day of little bells so that the split second is on call. Set an hourly chime, and at its sound, 3 breaths. Let traffic lights become altars, red, name, yellow, refuse, green, enter. When an email pings or a doorway frames your passage, practice the 3 seconds of holy hush. Pray without ceasing is not babble without ceasing. It is the repeated willingness to stand unoccupied for a heartbeat so that the spirit may occupy. Do not count successes. Do not grade the hush principle over personalities. We are not training to be winners of contests. We are training to be non-reactors, and that is faith. In the night, keep a brief watch. Wake once, sit up, no affirmations, no rummaging through truth, just a still turning. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth, and then wait for the click. If it does not come, do not tug at it. End with simple gratitude. Thank you for being God, and sleep. He giveth his beloved sleep. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. The watch is not to extract an experience. It is to let the roots go down where storms cannot touch them. Train this split second so faithfully that in crisis it finds you before reactivity does. Then, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard in you without your managing, and the prince of this world will come and find nothing in you, no hook, no consent, no hurried mind to inhabit, spot, refuse, enter again and again until the day itself becomes a seamless liturgy of non-reaction, and governance quietly, naturally returns to spirit. Let God have its perfect work. Now let us put principle in the street, because truth that cannot walk a grocery aisle or an inbox at noon is not yet governing. Principle over personalities, do you see? Means we never take the side of the crowd, nor the side of the body, nor even the side that hires you. We take no side at all. Christ is the only identity. We neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. We stand, and the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Case A, the grocery aisle. A student wrote, I turned into a corridor of stacked cans and faces, and my heart started running ahead of me. All right, here is where the world asks for your consent. Spot, universal belief in contagion and hurry is knocking. Not my heart, not their germs, universal hypnotism in a public costume. Refuse. Do not side with the body. Poor me these symptoms, and do not side with the crowd, selfish people pushing fear. Both are the same storm, two masks. No reaction, no scolding, no flight. Enter 3 seconds of holy hush, no verses, no counting, just the bare stillness. Be still and know that I am God. Then shop slowly as an act of faith, not to prove anything. Touch the cart as if it were an altar. Look once and choose. The atmosphere softened, she wrote. No announcement went out. No sermon was preached to the tomatoes. Yet the wind ran out of sails because it found no vein in her. Principle had the governance, and appearances took their cue. Case B, the supervisor's email at 4:58. Clip tone, implied threat. Instantly the old soldier in you reaches for armor and argument. Don't enter the case humanly. Don't take your side, don't take theirs, don't even take the side of being right. Universal belief in lack and survival is presenting its brief. Refuse. No inward courtroom. No rehearsed defense. No second-guessing motives. Enter. 3 seconds of silence. Let the jaw unhook. Let the mind be still. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. From there, either answer from principle, simple, clean, without edge, or wait until peace speaks. Sometimes the answer is delay, and harmony wears the face of time. Sometimes the separation is very spiritual. If a redirection is the only door through which peace can walk, let's have it. Man was not made for the Sabbath, and you are not made for a system that can only run on fear. Principle first, outcomes on God's calendar. Case C, the night dread at 3 o'clock. When the prophets of ruin hold revival, the forecast begins. Tomorrow's loss, next month's collapse, and hypnotism of future is preaching. Refuse. Do not rehearse. Do not negotiate terms with ghosts. Do not count the ways you might avert a fiction. Enter. Sit up if you must. Turn inward without words. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. And then, not another syllable. Take no thought for the morrow. Sleep returned, our friends said, not because the budget balanced in the dark, but because the throne was vacated and God was God. Do you see? When you refuse personalities and let principle govern, the house rearranges itself without your management. Let God have its perfect work. Now, before we go further, let us be honest about what breaks this way, because a middle path is narrow and there are ditches on both sides. The first ditch is it's my trauma. All right, no one here is denying your history. We weep with those who weep. We acknowledge bruises and years that cut. But do you see, the active cause now is not a yesterday carved in stone. The active cause now is the universal belief, seeking your assent in this instant. Treat cause, not story. The disciples asked, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And the answer was, neither. but that the works of God should be made manifest. Neither your childhood nor the neighbor's unkindness governs this moment. Spirit does. If you refuse to let the hypnotism borrow your name, you may tell your story to a wise friend. You may take a rest. But when you come to spiritual work, never enter the case humanly. Spot the universal suggestion. Refuse reaction. Enter silence. That heals at the root. The second ditch is I must protect myself, and at once the armor clanks. Principle is not passivity, and it is not aggression either. Set clean boundaries without inner heat. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. Say no, but do not make an idol of the no. Christ is the only identity on both sides of the door, yours and your brother's. Put up the sword of inner warfare. Keep the firmness of principle. I knew a woman invited into a circle that always left her inwardly scraped. She answered, "Not this time, thank you," and then entered silence, not to change their hearts, not to justify herself, but to stand where no personalities rule. The next month, Harmony found a new arrangement without a campaign. Boundaries, yes. Heat, no. Principle over personalities. Third, I tried and nothing happened. Tried is the word that betrays you. Don't look at your demonstration day by day. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. And the farmer sleepeth and riseth night and day, and the seed should spring and grow up, he knoweth not how. Let maturity bring to light. Saul of Tarsus did not preach the day after the light struck him. Years ripened the inner man. If you counted minutes after your last silence and peered at the appearance to grade God, you re-enthroned time. Drop the clock, keep the practice, be not weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Lastly, I'll use God to fix this. Don't turn to God for anything. God is not a power set against another power. God isn't mind. God isn't even soul. Nobody knows what God is, but God is. And in the hush where taking thought ceases, God is experienced. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Not seized, not managed, added. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, fasting from mental gadgets. Prayer that is wordless consent. Be still and let. Drop efforting and outcomes, keep to principle and practice. What your silence begins, God's timing finishes. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The prince of this world will come, and finding nothing in you, no story, no heat, no stopwatch, no tool called God pass by, and governance quietly and inevitably will be shown to be spirits. Now we come to the heart of the matter, and it will not be argued into place. Nobody by taking thought can contact God. You can pile truth on truth until the shelf bends, and still there will be no life in it. Concepts are scaffolding, not the house. Use them to get to the window, then step through and let the boards be. God is not a power set against another power. God isn't mind. God isn't even soul. Nobody knows what God is, but God is. And in the silence where even good thoughts fall quiet, God is experienced. Be still and know that I am God. That is the doorway. Not be bright, not be brave, be still. There is a moment in faithful stillness I can only call the click. It is not a fireworks display. It is more like a key turning in a lock you had not known was there. The temperature of conscience drops. The problem ceases to be interesting. The compulsion to manage dies down, and you rest without reason. You cannot manufacture this. You cannot bribe it with many verses or hurry it with perfect posture. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, fasting from cogitation. Prayer is wordless consent. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. So wait. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. In that waiting, the spell snaps, and you find that the wind was never in charge. I have letters in my drawer. Some of you wrote them, saying, "In thy silence I shall come to you," not in your arguments, not in your splendid statements, not in your rehearsed defenses, but in thy silence. Practice until that inner authority takes the chair. One woman wrote, "I sat without words. After a few minutes there was a soft release, and I could not remember why the fear had seemed sensible. That is the click." Another man said, "I woke with the old dread, but the name of it would not stick. Something in me smiled and turned away." Not triumph. Go gentle with that word, but a quiet governance resumed. My sheep hear my voice, not in the storm, not in the earthquake, but in the still small voice. After contact, walk softly. Give no human advice. Do not take your brother's hand and lead him into your plan. "See thou tell no man," the master often said, and Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. If a word is required, let it be clean and sparse. If action is needed, let it be uncluttered by personal heat. Do not announce outcomes. Let fruit report itself. "By their fruits ye shall know them." If harmony must appear, it will appear, added, not seized. Do not look day by day. Let God have its perfect work. So yes, prepare with statements if you must. They steady the hand on the latch. But know this, statements prepare, silence accomplishes. When the click comes, the hypnotism that traded on your argument loses its merchant. Then the prince of this world may come and find nothing in you, no thought to engage, no fear to flatter and pass by, and spirit will govern as naturally as breath. Be still, beloved, be very still. All right. If we are not to count healings like trophies, how then shall we know whether this way is taking hold? Faith, I have told you, is shown by your reaction. And so maturity in this path is not measured by fireworks, but by quiet refusals. Do you see? The non-reaction index is simple, and it is honest. How quickly do you come to stillness when the knock sounds? How few inner monologues are needed before the mind yields? How gentle and clean are your boundaries? Yea, yea, nay, nay, without heat, without sides. Across the boardroom and the kitchen, the body and the headlines, the traffic and the bank, are you less a weather vane? Time to stillness is one sign. Where once 10 minutes of mental wrestling were needed, now 3 breaths and the door closes on the wind. Be still and know that I am God. Not eloquence, not many words. The hush comes earlier. Another sign. Fewer inner arguments. The courtroom in your head is going out of business. The prosecutor, the defendant, the judge, they are losing their staff because you are not hiring them. You smile, you see the universal belief knocking, and you do not convene a trial. Boundaries grow cleaner. You say no to a draining engagement without an inward sermon. You say yes where love leads without announcing virtue. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. That is maturity. And then this, less taking sides. Principle over personalities. In the family dispute, you are not the champion of one and the enemy of another. You hold to Christ as the only identity and let appearances reorder. In the news cycle, you do not become the unpaid soldier of fear. In the body, you neither baby the symptom nor curse it. We neither fear, love, nor hate. Any appearance we are on the middle path. The prince of this world cometh and hath nothing in me. That nothing is your index. Now, do not make a new scoreboard. Don't audit miracles. Don't time God. Saul of Tarsus ripened 9 years before going out. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. Let maturity bring to light. Keep a journal if you must, but keep it light. Note moments of non-reaction, NR at the store. 3-breath hush in traffic. Clean, no without heat, then close the book, bless the lapses. A just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. When you catch yourself in an inner monologue halfway through, do not scold, spot, refuse, enter now. We are not improving the past, we are withdrawing consent in this instant. The ultimate sign? You discover that fewer things hook you, and at last nothing does. The wind rattles the window, you do not get up. The email barks, you do not bark back. The symptom taps, you do not sign for the parcel. All right, then results? By their fruits ye shall know them. Yes, but do not stare at the tree. Let God have its perfect work. The true metric is steadier non-reaction, a shorter road to hush, a life arranged so that silence finds you first. Walk there, patient and plain, and the added things will be added on God's calendar, not yours. Stand still, beloved, and let the one govern. All right, if maturity shows itself in steady non-reaction, then let us make the house ready for it. Set thine house in order, not with punishments and programs, but with consecrated arrangements so that silence finds you first. We are not adding religion to your day. We are uncovering altars already in it. The Master said it plainly, neither in this mountain nor in Jerusalem, but in spirit and in truth, Sabbath anywhere. 2 or 3 minutes between tasks, close the file, rest the hands, be still, and know that I am God. Stand at a threshold before the elevator door opens, before the car moves spot, refuse, enter, wash the dishes, and let the water teach you the cadence of quiet. The commute becomes a sanctuary, not with chance and effort, but with the invisible turn that says, not I, but Christ, and then no more words. Now, be careful what you admit into the temple. Input hygiene, you see. Take heed what ye hear. Curate the doors, ear, eye, and idle scroll, because channels that trade in universal suggestion would love to rent a room in you. We are not running from the world with fear. We are refusing to lease our attention to its carnival. Skim less, listen less to the merchants of alarm. Walk past the aisles where gossip is stacked in bulk. If you must keep informed, do so as a priest would handle incense brief, impartial, then away. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are of good report, think on these things, and then go behind thinking into silence. Guard the hour on waking and the hour before sleep as holy ground. Do not hand them to headlines. Offer them instead to stillness, and you will discover that the day takes its cue from its bookends. Relationally consecrate. If you are not willing to leave mother, brother, sister, father, for my sake, do you see, you will be drafted into loyalties that demand reactivity. I do not say become cold. I say become free to love without being managed by fear. Sometimes the separation is very spiritual. If some tie insists you take sides, insists that you hurry, insists that you fight, lay it on the altar and ask, who is my mother and who are my brethren? Those who do the will of the Father are kin in spirit. Release what rules by panic and cling to what calls you to peace. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, and then no heat. At work, arrange to serve principle, not personalities, not even the side that hires you. Your interest is only in bringing forth a spiritual activity. Enter the meeting as priest, not partisan. Refuse outcomes, hold to the middle path, and you will see the atmosphere reorder itself without your speeches. Render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but do not render your peace. And as a thread through all these thresholds, let identity be washed clean. Softly once, like touching a lintel, say, never believe in a selfhood apart from God, and then drop it, enter bare silence. Statements prepare, silence accomplishes. Do this gently and often. Make straight in your desert a highway for our God, and when storms arise, you will not need to search for peace. Peace will already be standing at your door, and the prince of this world will come, finding nothing in you, pass by. Order your life so that non-reaction and silence are likely, and they will meet you before the wind does. All right, we have come to the sending, and the sending is simple. Walk the middle path, neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. When the knock sounds, spot the suggestion, name it universal, and take back your name. Refuse reaction, no inward courtroom, no bargaining, no sides. Enter silence, one split second in which you withdraw from taking thought and let thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. This is the whole ladder in 3 rungs. Spot, refuse, enter. Do you see? Let Christ's will, not your cleverness, not your indignation, govern the next breath, the next look, the next word. Now hear this and be relieved. We are not changing appearances. Never desire to change appearances. We are witnessing God reveal self where a picture claimed a place. If harmony appears as change, let it come. If harmony appears as stillness, let it be still. Your office is not to manage outcomes. Your office is to stand in the hush where God is God. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Don't time it, don't grade it. By their fruits we shall know, and fruits ripen on heaven's calendar, not ours. First the blade, then the ear, sleep and rise, and let God have its perfect work. We do not walk alone. We are together in this middle path, though many of us will never meet with the eyes. Unseen friends in Honolulu and Johannesburg, in kitchens and boardrooms, are keeping the same watch you keep. Letters will come, some to my drawer, some to yours. Quiet lines of release. I stood still. The wind passed by. Receive them as fruits, not proofs, and then put them away. For so the true proof is steadier, non-reaction, and a kinder gaze. Be patient with your ripening. A just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again. Rise without heat. Each refusal to react is another thread by which governance returns to spirit. So, beloved, I leave you with the Master's word, be not afraid, it is I, and with the whisper I have read in your letters and in my own heart, in thy silence I shall come to you. Go now quiet, unhurried. When the world suggests, refuse and stand still. In that stillness, God completes the work. Let the next moment be governed by God. Peace I leave with you, not as the world giveth. The prince of this world will come and, finding nothing in you, pass by. Walk on.